Hello, my name is Stephen Denman. My organisation is Shining Guidance. My website is shiningguidance.com. I'm going to talk to you today about Autism Spectrum Disorder, or ASD, and the connections between the neurological condition and UFO sightings and ultraterrestrials and extraterrestrials. Now, those who have autism spectrum disorder or ASD conditions are of tremendous interest to the ultraterrestrials or extraterrestrials that have become known as the golden mantids, the reptoids from the Alpha Draconis system, the Orion Greys, the Zeta Reticulans type A Greys, the Zeta Reticulan type B Greys, the Nordic Pleiadians, and the Ethereal Octorians. It must be remembered that as both children and adults of autism spectrum disorder ASD like to analyse data, which is clumps of highly technical knowledge, in a radically different way to neurotypical individuals, their abilities make them an exclusive grouping of incarnations. Additionally, children and adults of autism spectrum disorder ASD tend to have more frequent and intenser kinds of psychic discernment, telepathic communication, and supernatural experiences when compared to more neurotypical individuals. Hence, the ultraterrestrials or extraterrestrials, such as the golden mantids, the reptoids from the Alpha Draconis system, the Orion Greys, the Zeta Reticulan type A Greys, the Zeta Reticulan type B Greys, the Nordic Pleiadians, and the Etheric Octorians, instantly become attuned to those individuals who have autism spectrum disorder or ASD, simply because of the electromagnetic wavelength connections which resonate beyond space-time between these kinds of incarnations. Whilst there are many kinds of intelligent humans, it is evidently very true to say that most individuals with autism spectrum disorder or ASD are more likely than neurotypical individuals to have an extremely high intelligence quotient or IQ, according to a report by the Dutch Autistic Register or DAR. 16.5% of children and adults of autism spectrum disorder ASD have an intelligence quotient or IQ of about 130. This is compared to only 2.3% of those who are neurotypical. Hence, this is another reason why the ultraterrestrials or extraterrestrials that have become discernibly and clearly defined as the golden mantids, the reptoids from the Alpha Draconis system, the Orion Greys, the Zeta Reticulan type A Greys, the Zeta Reticulan type B Greys, the Nordic Pleiadians, and the Etheric Octorians, are interested consistently with focusing on individuals who have autism spectrum disorder or ASD. And another reason why these same ultraterrestrials or extraterrestrials that have been categorized and defined as the golden mantids, the reptoids from the Alpha Draconis system, the Orion Greys, the Zeta Reticulan type A Greys, the Zeta Reticulan type B Greys, the Nordic Pleiadians, and the Etheric Octorians, are seemingly so intrigued by individuals who have autism spectrum disorder or ASDs because they use at least 50% more of their mental and cognitive energetics when compared to neurotypical individuals, whilst they're carrying out various intellectual tasks that could be academic or educational based coursework, as an example. So even though many children and adults have dyspraxia, which is also known as developmental coordination disorder or DCD, which is a common neurological condition that affects the movement and coordination of many of those who have autism spectrum disorder ASD. What is now also known is there is a direct correlation between those children and adults that do have autism spectrum disorder or ASD conditions and dyspraxia, because those same individuals seemingly display an extremely high intelligence quotient or IQ level. Now, around 4 in 10 or 40% of children and adults with autism spectrum disorder or ASD tend to be non-verbal in regards to their social interaction and communication skills. From the perspective of the ultraterrestrials and extraterrestrials, who consistently resonate and exist beyond space-time on board their spacecraft, the way that individuals who have autism spectrum disorder or ASD therefore communicate is a subject of tremendous fascination, as it means that subconsciously those children and adults with autism spectrum disorder or ASD conditions have resonant spiritual links with celestial hyperspace and also the language of hyperspace. Now, numerous children and adults who have autism spectrum disorder or ASD tend to have very intense and consistent flashback memories of interactions they have had with ultraterrestrials and extraterrestrials. And because of their neurological condition, such individuals perceive their interactions differently to how more neurotypical individuals view the subject of UFO sightings and ultraterrestrials and extraterrestrials. It has been ascertained that children and adults who have autism spectrum disorder or ASD who have experienced interactions with ultraterrestrials and extraterrestrials usually have abnormal electroencephalogram or EEG rates. Now, the medical test known as an electroencephalogram or EEG is defined as a test which is used to measure the electrical activity in the human brain and especially in the cerebrum by using small, round, metallic electrodes which are attached to the scalp of the individual. Now, some children and adults who have autism spectrum disorder or ASD conditions relate their interactions, whether they are psychic or telepathic, with the ultraterrestrials and extraterrestrials to the various resonant vibrations of the 4D holographic reality of the astral plane, where many of the aliens do exist in large numbers and use that super fast vibratory location to pilot their interdimensional spacecraft through. Now, many of the American Indian guardian spirits, like the Ojibwe Indian astral guides called Wabankwat Bagakasigi and Nawa Kamig Zagaso, and the Cherokee Indian astral guides known as Degataga Juhavidli and also Onakona Gan Hilsfith, regularly communicate with many individuals who have autism spectrum disorder or ASD conditions, and even some who are neurotypical. Hence, the ultraterrestrials and extraterrestrials that resonate consistently beyond linear space-time must have some kind of understanding and discernment about these American Indian guardian spirits who exist in large numbers in the 4D holographic reality of the astral plane, just as many individuals who have autism spectrum disorder or ASD seemingly do as well. So I think this is rather relevant information. I don't know many people who are putting this kind of knowledge out there into the digital realm. And I think we need to remember that because very large numbers of individuals who have autism spectrum disorder or ASD conditions feel consistently traumatized, they feel anxious, they feel worried, they feel scared to some extent, they feel emotionally and psychologically overwhelmed with aspects of daily life on a day-by-day, week-by-week, month-by-month, year-by-year basis whilst they're here on planet Earth in the 3D holographic reality of the material dimension. One of the, shall we say, subconscious coping mechanisms they will use, which they're not consciously therefore aware of, is to reach out beyond space-time into the faster vibratory rates of the 4D holographic reality of the astral plane, as well as into celestial hyperspace and therefore the heavenly kingdom. And obviously this is going to shift the electromagnetic frequency, vibration and energy of themselves, and they're automatically going to start linking with various kinds of ultra-terrestrials and extraterrestrials that also exist consistently beyond space-time. Now, I think this is quite incredibly unique information. I don't know really anybody else out there on the internet that has been putting up this kind of video content, making these connections between individuals who have autism spectrum disorder or ASD conditions, and ultra-terrestrials and extraterrestrials. So I thought it was a really good idea to put this information out there, and I think it will resonate on many levels with individuals who do have autism spectrum disorder or ASD conditions. And we need to remember that although we here in the more condensed, slower vibrations of the 3D holographic reality of the material dimension may perceive everything around us as being realistic and authentic and perhaps tangible, these kinds of more condensed vibrations are a tiny aspect of the much greater vastness of the divine creation, and vast multitudes of various life forms, whether they're defined as ultra-terrestrials and extraterrestrials or not, exist. And it's so far beyond our comprehension to really understand that itself is the great mystery of mysteries. So I think I've presented to you some very helpful and intriguing information on this subject, and I'm sure you've enjoyed watching what I have presented. I've certainly enjoyed presenting this information to you. And on that note, folks, I'd like to say please take care. There'll be many more videos to come in the near future. And on that note, thank you very much for watching me present this information to you, and goodbye.